So I'm out here in the park, and I'm wondering to myself, what makes up a miracle anyway? So far this month we've been talking about miracles, the miracles that Jesus did. But really, when you think of it, what makes up a miracle? Is it just because Jesus did it? Or is it just some coincidence? Is that a miracle? Or is it some random event that just happens and you think, wow, that's very serendipitous? It must be a miracle. So if a miracle is not just anything, but it's something that Jesus did, or something that God did, then how do you know if it's God who's doing it? So I think we do need to know if it is God doing it or not. In the scripture, the Bible, we definitely can see when it's God who's doing the miracle, because it tells us very plainly that it's Him who is doing the miracle. It says, and Jesus did this, or God did this, and then it becomes the miracle. So that's always a clear sign of things. God is doing something. But what about now in our real life, day to day? How do we know when it's God who's done something miraculous in our life? You see, I think that God's always doing something incredible, something unusual, something out of the ordinary. And it's also something good. Something that normally wouldn't happen on its own. Like a leg that's been broken, being healed, the bones mending. So if God just all of a sudden mends your bones, that's probably a pretty good sign that it's a miracle. Or if something happens that normally wouldn't happen, like a windfall of money. Perhaps you needed something like food or clothing, and then someone just pops up to the door and says, hey, here's some money because I really felt in my heart that you needed it, so here's a big wad of cash. That's probably a miracle. It's most likely God doing. Did the disciples know that they were seeing miracles? Did the disciples know that they were seeing something extraordinary? I think so. When Jesus walked on water, that was pretty incredible. When they saw people being healed and demons being cast out of people, those were all things out of the ordinary. When Jesus multiplied the fish and the loaves, that was pretty extraordinary. Those things just didn't happen every day, even back then. Sometimes people are looking for the miracle that's big and extraordinary, like the walking on water, or I don't know, the flood or something like that. But you got to remember that God, or I should say Jesus, performed some incredible miracles just in the mundane, ordinary stuff, like feeding people. Like the example of the 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Jesus did something extraordinary with just something so simple when he fed the 5,000 people. All he had to do was say, yeah, we're going to feed these people, and it was done. And that was a miracle in itself. So in your life, be on the lookout for those things. The things that God's doing that maybe you would just pass up and say, oh, that's just a coincidence. It's not really something that I should worry about. But in reality, it's a miracle happening right before your eyes. And I think we need to give God a little more credit than He's been getting for those miracles. So yeah, I think miracles happen all the time. And they're probably happening in your life, just we need to watch out for them.